Jason Tarver mentioned Mack Wilson and Anthony Walker's effect on him. Let's hear more from Tarver on Mack Wilson as well as Kevin Stefanski.
Mack is more flexible, more bendable. He's running really well. He's finishing to the ball well, which is our number one thing for linebackers. It's run, because we got to be able to run across the board. And he's put himself in a position to compete by being in shape. He's in much better shape. He's lighter, but he's got more lean muscle mass. Proud of the work he's done and excited to see where he's going.
Yeah, outstanding play by Mack. Elevated, went, got it, displayed great hands. He's been trying to get on goal line offense for a long time. Tell me about those hands. But he came in great shape physically. I think he's running really well, still powerful. And then I think mentally, I think he's just in a really good spot.
A lot of high praise there from Coach Stefanski and Coach Tarver, and not only that too, but also from Monday morning quarterback Albert Breer mentioning on Twitter that Mack Wilson quietly having a good camp and that he's changed his body this offseason. It's showing early on it'd be tough for Wilson to unseat the new Brown Anthony Walker, but at least he's vying for some sort of role on this team. Now, D-Man, for somebody who, throughout this offseason has been questioned for whether or not he would make the roster, what are your thoughts early on from Mack Wilson and really the fact that he's taken such great strides apparently here early on in camp?
Well, first of all, I want to go back to the Stefanski bites. Why is he now wearing his Brownie elf cap, his famous Brownie elf cap that he always wears? He had a new one today. But on a more serious note, yeah, Mack Wilson, there were questions about whether he would make the roster. I guess there still are. But clearly we have found out what the Browns identified as the problem for Mack Wilson. What was plaguing him, if you will, last year? It was definitely his conditioning, his physical fitness, because you heard Stefanski talk about it. You heard the linebackers coach talk about it. They want, and then you heard Albert Breer talk about it. Mack Wilson needed to undergo I don't know if it's a transformation, but he needed to undergo a serious tweaking of his physical conditioning, and he has, and now he's put himself in a much better position to compete.
Well, when you look at that in all of the notes that we've seen about Mack Wilson, do you think that puts more pressure on somebody like a Sione Takitaki, who also was a third-round pick back in 2019, and also seems like he's towards that back end of that linebacking room?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I could see Takitaki having a battle and Wilson having a battle. I think Walker's in a good spot, obviously. JOK, now that he's back, he'll be fine because, he comes back from COVID and he might have a little catching up to do, even though he said he won't necessarily, but I think he will. But regardless, he's going to be fine. I mean, there are a limited number of spots in the linebacker situation. So, yeah, Wilson is pushing Takitaki and anybody else for that situation. So it's a fascinating group because, as you said, Mac, it was targeted as a weakness of this team. It's hard to say weakness because there's quality players in that room, but when you look at the line and you look at the secondary, when the secondary has guys like John Johnson III and Denzel Ward and Newsome, and then the line has guys like Clowney and Garrett and Jackson and whatnot, you see the linebackers as maybe the weaker link in the defensive chain, but they still have the potential to be good.